Hi, I'm Wendy Apple with Wending Path. I'm going to demonstrate, draw along with you today, a NeuroGraphica drawing. I modified this drawing style just a little bit in light of some of the events that are happening in the U.S. I'm recording this on January 26th. So some of the events that are happening in the United States. To deal with frustration, feelings of powerlessness, fear, anger, um, and trying to channel that just a little bit. So grab a sheet of drawing paper, just regular copy paper will work. I like this slightly heavier drawing paper. Cardstock will also work, and get out your highlighters or your colored pencils and a black marker, and we can draw this together. So I'm going to switch my camera and we'll get started. The first thing that I want to do is channel that frustration a little bit. So the way I like to do that is sit quietly for a minute and think about what that feeling is inside of me. Try to isolate it down to just one or two emotions, and then if you can, feel it in your body. If you can feel where this feeling is in your body, and I like to imagine that I'm taking that tension or sensation and moving it into my dominant drawing hand. So that's what I'm going to do. And then once I do that, then I scribble that feeling, that emotion, onto the paper. Takes about 3 seconds of drawing typically. So I'll demonstrate that for you here first. Okay, so there's my my drawing to show how I'm feeling right now. And if you didn't do that with me and you want to pause the drawing, you can. So the first thing we're going to do after we do that is take these lines, this swirl, this scribble that we've created, and we're going to start to round it into place. And what that means in NeuroGraphica is that we take the sharp corners like that, which some people call V's, right? That's a V, and we turn them into U's. So I did that there, and I'll show you. I'll do it here again. I'll do it here. So I soften that corner, and then I fill that in. And then I'm just going to take that little bit of sharpness out. And I'm going to do that with my whole, we call this a catharsis. I'm going to do that with my whole catharsis. And some people like to do this with a Sharpie. So you can, if you've got a, kind of a medium tipped Sharpie, I expect, would do it. Excuse me. So I'm just going around these, excuse me, sharper angles, and softening them a little bit. And I like to, excuse me, I like to think of those as kind of my sharp edges, my irritated parts. Just soothing them down a little bit, getting myself to a mental state where I can process with a little bit more of a clear head, where I can move out of that fight or flight stage, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, I heard somebody add recently. But in any case, to get rid of all of those stuck sensations we get in our brain, where we're kind of just reacting to things versus leading with our thoughts and our intelligence. our calmer selves. And as we're drawing, thinking a little bit about how my body's feeling, how my emotions might be changing. What images do I have? So I'm getting this whole catharsis all rounded out. Sometimes it's just this part of the process, just taking this visual representation of my emotions on the page and just kind of smoothing it out with this rounding process. Sometimes that's enough to just calm me down, make me start to feel a little more in control, a little more rational. Okay, so I've covered my initial drawing. I always do that initial scribble in pencil because I scribble too hard. If I use my marker, I end up going through markers very quickly. So I've covered all that, and I've rounded, I think I've rounded all my intersections. And so the next thing that I want to do is I've got two tails. I call these tails. This is where I started my drawing and where I ended my drawing, and those lines are just kind of sticking out there. And I'm just going to pull those whatever direction they were already going. Take them off to the edge of the page. I think I'm going to have to get a new fresh marker here. This one seems to be running out of juice. Okay. So I've pulled those to the end, and then if you create any more intersections when you do that, you want to round those too. Alright, and once you get those two things done, then the next thing that I like to do is take these loops where I've switched direction quickly with my pencil and just pull those all the way out to the end of the paper too. Stretch that out a little bit. If you've never done a NeuroGraphica drawing before, welcome. And if you have and you're ready to learn more about NeuroGraphica, I have several classes on my website, wendingpath.com, that you can check out when you're ready to not just do what we're doing here, but learn a little bit about the whys and hows, and get yourself to a place where you can draw pretty easily on your own without having to, follow somebody else's directions. So one class is the basic user class that I teach, and that's kind of the beginning class where you learn a lot of the techniques we're doing right here. And again, the whys and the history of NeuroGraphica. And I've got a drawing club and different classes on different things. My self-coaching class is going right now, and starting a composition class in a few days. But I don't know when you're going to be watching this. And I'm sure there'll be something going on no matter when you're watching it, so you can go check that out on the website. Been doing NeuroGraphica now for several years. It's really helped me with insights, emotional regulation, getting unstuck in various ways in my life. Let's see. I'm even going to count this as one of those points. You can see I changed direction here, so I'm going to pull that down here too. Smooth out that little bump there. All right. So, and then another thing that that we do sometimes in NeuroGraphica is neurograph the lines. Is what we call it, and that's where you add a little flexibility to your lines. These lines, if you remember what it felt like as you were drawing your catharsis, as you were scribbling, feel that tension in your arm, and I'm just taking some of that tension out, adding some flexibility. We always handle things in life better if we approach it with a flexible state of mind. We're open to new ideas. So that's what we're teaching our brains right now, emphasizing. So I don't want to add spikes to my lines. I'm not trying to make them very jagged, just trying to give them a little bit more of an organic NeuroGraphica feel. You may have seen neuro art online. A lot of people are doing that, where they take some of the principles from NeuroGraphica and make artwork that has some of the same visual elements. Not as much, it doesn't focus on the deep psychological work that NeuroGraphica proper does. And again, through the classes, we would talk about how that works and why and what you can do to enhance it and take advantage of it, all that good stuff. All right, I think I got most of my lines, and you always miss a few. You'll see them as you go forward. So now, again, I'm modifying this a little bit. I want to think a little bit about the idea of the frustrations that I'm feeling, what's going on in the country, and I want to add some shapes to my drawing to help support me through this turmoil. And typically in NeuroGraphica, we add squares and circles and triangles, but mostly circles, especially in this kind of a drawing. And each circle that you add, if you want to put circles on your drawing, can represent for you any traits that you would like to bring to yourself, to enhance in yourself, to help support you through these difficult times. So I put the circle on here that you saw me draw, and now I'm doing the rounding around the circle and the shapes, getting it to fit in. For me, this circle is about patience. I can be very impatient. This situation is very frustrating, and I need all the patience I can muster to get through it. So I'm adding a dollop of patience to my drawing, and I want to make sure that these lines are also not adding tension to my drawing, so I'll add a little bit of wiggle, a little bit of flexibility to my circle. And I'm looking at my drawing, and I think I'm going to add another circle over here. I don't usually write on my drawings. You certainly can label your circles if you want to, but I do want to keep track of what I'm adding, and I use that for the notes that I take for myself. I think of NeuroGraphica as kind of a journaling practice. I'm drawing as I process and think, but I usually have a journal or notepad or something near me so I can jot my thoughts down, or sometimes on the back of the paper, my feelings, how I'm doing, how my body's reacting to the process. And of course, as the drawing goes on, I also often get insights, information that's helpful to me, and I take notes on that as well. This circle is hope or optimism. Sometimes it's easy to get discouraged in tough times, and I need a little extra optimism. This one I'm going to make even bigger. And this one for me is about purpose. When things are particularly difficult and I don't understand them, I like to think that they're serving a greater purpose that I don't understand. But being accepting of that is helpful to me, helps me keep an open mind. So I'm just rounding this circle into place just the way we've done with all the other lines. These drawings are very much about intention. So when you sit down with the intention of calming yourself down or feeling better, or, you know, like I just did, infusing purpose into my drawing. It's energetically, you know, speaking to my body and to my psyche about some of these other elements that I need more presence during this time. A lot of avenues for action when we feel this way, when we're feeling powerless. Get reminded that we do have some power, and take advantage and quiet my mind a little bit to think about the action that I want to take. I'm just thinking now, there's no right or wrong answer in terms of how many shapes you add to your drawing, how much support you need. I'm feeling like I need more. Let me think what else I feel like I can add here. I'm gonna add peace, which of course my whole drawing is kind of about bringing peace to myself, but I'm gonna add it specifically. Even if you write on your drawing, sometimes I do that, you know, label your circles what they are. It's a good idea to keep a separate list, because as we keep going with the drawing, sometimes our markers or coloring can obscure the words, and if you want to see them again, you need to have them somewhere where they don't get all covered up. And add a little bit of wiggle to this circle. This is NeuroGraphica's deep work on your subconscious, and so it's not important to write down the meaning of the circles or even necessarily to know what they mean. Your subconscious is doing that work, whether you're participating or not. And this is not so much a thinking exercise as it is a feeling and changing an inner state exercise. I think I'm going to do one more circle. This circle for me is belief. Belief that things will get better. It can be difficult to maintain optimism when everything is very heated. So never hurts to add that. So you can keep adding circles. That's fine. Add as many as you want to, or as few as you want to. But before I start coloring, I also want to make sure my drawing is well balanced. And what I do for that is I just look to see if there are big white spaces that still haven't been explored with my marker. So like over here, these spaces are pretty big compared to some of these. So I'm going to just add a few more lines here just to balance out my drawing. Trying to make it feel as if the page has about equal coverage everywhere. It's not exact, but that's what I'm looking for. See, every time we add a line, we have to make sure it gets nicely rounded. I hope you can see as you're doing this, or feel, I should say, that you can really get lost in this process. Let your mind wander and your body relax a little bit, and your thinking mind not work quite so hard. So this is very intuitive what I'm doing now. I'm still adding a few lines here and there, and you'll have to look at your own drawing and figure out when you feel like you've got even coverage on your paper. We're kind of drawing a neural network, and again, equal coverage is important. I think I'm gonna call that done. Alright, so now I'm going to add color to my drawing. That's the next thing that we do. You can do that with colored pencil or markers if they're light enough. You don't want to cover up, you don't want to hide the lines of your initial drawing. Or you can use highlighters, which come in lots of fun colors these days and are a little quicker, which is nice. So with the coloring, what we want to do is go right over the the line, not obscure it, but go over it, because we're joining pieces together. And we don't color any piece. No one piece is colored as isolated. So I color one piece purple, so I need to color at least one more next to it purple. And so on with all the colors that I decide to add. And we also treat white like a color, so I don't want to have any white pieces standing alone. So you can use markers, they just need to be on the lighter side like highlighters. I have to decide where I'm going here. You can see I'm turning my drawing back and forth and back and forth. There isn't a top or a bottom in a NeuroGraphica drawing. All right. Now I did a band of color, and you're certainly welcome to do that as well. But you don't have to do that. That's not part of the process. The only real rule, like I said, is we don't hide the lines, and we do at least two pieces next to each other. So we don't emphasize that these pieces are separate. We emphasize bringing them back together. But I do tend to do bands. And that's just my style. Sometimes your marker will smear the black lines a little bit like it did there. Some colors tend to do that. Others don't, so that's okay. It's not a problem. Oops. There we go. you get behind at any point, you just pause this video. NeuroGraphica drawings are definitely not a race, so I don't want you to feel hurried at all. I will leave some of my drawing white. I almost always do. Let's see. Sometimes when I pick a color, it's for a very specific reason. You know, blue means this or that to me. And sometimes it's just what I feel like adding. Either any of those things are okay. I just encourage you to, if it does have meaning for you, to take notes, write that down. Good to pay attention to what all your senses are telling you. I think I need just a little bit more. What do I need? I'm gonna do a little trick here that we do sometimes. I want to be able to color this separately from that. And there's no line dividing it, so I'm going to add a line. Unfortunately, that wet marker will probably run more than the other. See if I can stay away from that for a minute. Sure enough. There we go. think. Let's see if I've got a different blue. Let's see if this looks different. And if not, it's okay. It doesn't look all that different in the camera. It does look different to me here. Let's see. A little bit different. Not really much. Not too much different. And down here. Some people do these a little bit like stained glass, where every piece is a different color. And if you do that, that's definitely neuro art, which is fine. Nothing wrong with neuro art. You really can't see the difference on the screen very well, but let's see. I think that's good. I think that is probably good. So you color yours, whatever colors you want, for as long as you want, and then after you feel like you've done that, then I like to add. Then in NeuroGraphica we add support lines, field lines, universal lines, representing source energy going through and supporting us. And these lines should stand out. They are thicker than the other lines, so you want to make sure that they're really visibly thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and almost double these up to make sure it stands out. If you think about source energy compared to your energy and my energy, it's definitely more powerful. So we reflect that with these thicker lines. Let's see. I'm going to have one branch off. Alright, so these are my field lines, my universal lines, and I want to round those into place as well. Capture that energy, grab onto that support. Just, I think it was last month, wrote a blog post about these field lines and what they're about. Go to Wending Path to check that out if you're interested for a little bit of a deeper dive. I think I didn't get this one quite as thick. You can see I have several different thicknesses of markers that I use. Okay, let's see here. The rounding that we're doing here with these field lines, these thick field lines, I'm rounding more thickly than I did with the other lines because these lines are bigger. So in order to have them fit more naturally into the drawing, they have more generous roundings. Oh, I think I was saying that I have several black marker nib sizes, different sizes for different aspects of this work. As I said, I've been drawing NeuroGraphica for several years, but if you get into it, you may find that useful too. Depending on how thick you want something to be or how much you want to express something sometimes. Different nibs can be helpful. Just trying to make sure I catch everything. And like I said before, you usually don't catch all the corners, but do my best. Pay attention to how you feel as you're rounding. Do you feel more calm or relaxed or supported? Any of those things, or worse, if that happens. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who said that, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Let's see. I think that's pretty good. All right. So there is that part of my drawing, and then the last thing we add with our I always use black. You can use a different color, but with my black marker is our final shape, which becomes our focal point and kind of brings everything together. And so that's always a circle. So I'm looking for a circle that feels like it's already almost on the page. Of course, not the circles I added, but I'm really being drawn actually to more of an oval shape. I don't know if you look at your picture and you might see something that just kind of jumps out at you. But for me, it felt like this. This oval or egg circular shape felt like it was saying, pick me, pick me. And then this one, the lines on this one are even thicker than your field lines. So the thickest of all. So I'm just looking to see that. And then, I bet by now you know what we're going to do next. We're going to round this into place. Nice, big, juicy roundings. With a little space like this, I'm just going to color it in so it disappears, instead of trying to round it. Try leaving that one, see if it works. I think. It's easier sometimes for me if I look in the camera. I can see things better than if I look on the paper. That's a little art trick. You can do that too, just by taking a photograph. If you're looking at something and feel like you can't get a good look, a photograph is a good way to do that. But I've got my camera on right here. Okay, so this is our drawing. This is my drawing, and hopefully you were able to pause to keep up with me a little bit. Another thing you can do if you want to, and I often do with my drawings, is to kind of highlight the colors inside my affixing, inside my circle, my focal point, to make it stand out even more, not just with the thick lines. I didn't do a very good job of picking a color here. I didn't pick a color that went with what I had. So this is colored pencil, and that's a great way to shade over your highlighter. Let's see if I can do a better job here with my green. And you could color in the whole thing, make it stand out. You could color it with one color, whatever you want. But just like with art, you want to have a focal point. And so that's how this works for you. Sorry, it's really hard to talk while you're drawing. I lose my train of thought. don't know, does that stand? Yeah, it does stand out a little bit more. A little bit. Maybe. Yeah. All right, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed drawing with me. Let me switch here. Thanks for drawing, for joining me. Check out my website, wendypath.com. If you happen to be seeing this at the end of January 2026 and you want to join me on an upcoming class, I'd love to see you there, or just sign up for my mailing list, and I'll keep you up to date on what's coming and what's new. Oh, you can help me out if you like this video and subscribe, and even more if you write a comment, apparently. So I would love to hear from you. Anyway, I hope you're doing well, and take care of yourself. Thanks for joining me.